going on, everyone? My name is Adam Blevins with Agents of Fandom. Today I am joined by two very special guests, Steve Toussaint, who plays Lord Corlys Velaryon, aka the Sea Snake, and Harry Collett, who plays Prince Jacaerys Velaryon, rightful heir to the Iron Throne in House of the Dragon. First off, I want to say thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to me, and we can go right ahead and get started. I have one individual question for each of you that I want to start with, and Steve, I'll throw it to you first. You've previously mentioned how much you love Denzel Washington's performance in Training Day because we finally get to see him let out the dark side in that movie.
Yeah.
Lord Corlys strikes me as a very level-headed character throughout, especially in season 1. But after dealing with all of this loss and trauma, is it possible we see a little more of an Alonzo Harris side to him in season 2 with a little more reckless version of Lord Corlys? Or maybe there are any other iconic characters like that we'll get to see in this very grieving and perhaps angrier version?
Oh wow, gosh. No, I think you will see the grieving side. I don't think in this season he is ready to let loose completely. I think he's still the grief, the sorrow is still more in charge. And then something happens that reminds him of his youthful misdeeds that he has to reconcile. So I think he's still, for a lot of this season, he's off balance, hit by a lot of things coming at him. But as I said, this season is about preparing for war. So I think once he's out, he'll probably unleash the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And I for one am very much looking forward to that. Harry, for you, one of the first Instagram pictures that you ever posted was with Sean Bean. So can you tell me about the context of that picture, and have you developed a relationship with him in the years since that, or are there any other original Game of Thrones stars that you've developed a relationship with since joining the cast of House of the Dragon?
Yeah, I actually forgot that was my first Instagram picture. That's quite weird, actually. So I did an advert for a soap company it's quite big in the UK called Fairy. And it was me and Sean Bean, and it was like for the charity Make-A-Wish. So that's the story behind that. And I think that's when sort of Instagram started to come about. So yeah, I think it's just a complete coincidence, really. Wow. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that I'd be on a Game of Thrones spin-off like years ago. But no, I haven't. I don't think I haven't met anybody from, or like built a relationship with anybody from the original series. I'd love to meet Kit Harington though, but yeah, I mean, I feel like if I was to meet somebody from the original series, that would be really good.
I was about to say that would be nice to see in the show or something, but obviously, given the timelines and everything, I fear that will not be possible. So the rest of the questions that I have are for both of you, and I'll start with, so obviously House of the Dragon is adapted from Fire and Blood, which uses this unreliable narrator method of storytelling, which leaves so many elements of the story up to interpretation. With this in mind, is there anything in this show related to your characters or otherwise that you feel you have a controversial opinion on? Things that maybe aren't explicitly spoken or shown, but that maybe you feel your opinion is different on what the story leads us to believe?
Oh, have you? That's a very good question.
That is a very good question.
It's a difficult one for me because I didn't read the book. I purposefully avoided the book. So occasionally I get something on social media where a fan will tell me, well, this is what should happen. I don't know if I don't think I've got a controversial.
No, I don't think there's some things you think I would like to know more details on, like, with, for me, it's like the sort of abusive relationship of Aegon and Helena. But, when we see in season 1, when it all comes out at the family dinner table. But yeah, there's nothing, I don't think, well, I can't at least think of one now that would be very like controversial.
Because have you ever had that where you've sort of gone, oh yeah, the reason I'm doing it is because of this, and then Ryan or Miguel's gone, no, actually, no, it's not. It's because you're doing that.
Yeah, I have had that. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh,
but well, I've had it like once, but then it's sort of said in a way like you're doing great, but try and interpret it in this way.
Right.
But that's mainly because I like, yeah. I can't, that's a really good question. But there's nothing that's really sticking out to me. It's like,
me neither. And as I said, my one was because I just purposefully avoided the book. So I didn't want to have an opinion, because I always often think that if you read the book and then your character does something, you go, oh my God, that's so great. I can't wait to do that in the, and then the scriptwriters go, we're not doing that. And you're like, but why? So I wanted to avoid that.
I suppose one thing from season 1, sorry, it's just put in my head, that I remember watching back, and is when I punched Aemond in the face and there was no reaction. I was like, why'd you have to violate me for that? Like, he didn't move. He just went like that and then pushed me on the floor. I was like, I've been violated.
Ooh, I'm glad you mentioned too that working with Ryan Condal and having these kind of different motivations and perspectives. That's a great segue into my next question, which is, both of your characters, particularly Lord Corlys, dealt with this mountain of loss in season 1. And obviously we know season 2 picks up 10 days after season 1, and that's not an adequate grieving period for anybody. So can you talk a little bit about where we find Lord Corlys and Jacaerys in season 2, and what does their idea of revenge look like? Is it more scorched earth, or are they more interested in playing the long game?
I'll go first. I think it's a very interesting, again, question, because as you said, it's 10 days. So when we first meet Corlys, not only is he recovering from the injury that he suffered at the end of season 1, still walking with a cane, but of course he is trying to deal with the grief of the loss of his son, the loss of his daughter, his brother, and of course his grandson. I don't think when we meet him that his thoughts are about revenge yet. I think because again, if you remember at the end of season 1, he has said to his wife, let's just get out of this. We've lost too much. And it is her that has said, no, we have to support Rhaenyra and our grandchildren. So I think for the most part of season 2, he is kind of like reluctant, but he knows it's the right thing to do. So I don't think he, at this stage, is bent on revenge. It's funny, I was asked this question before we started shooting season 2. Someone said to me, what do you think he'll do? And I said, it's going to be biblical what he does. And then, I read the script and I was like, oh, actually, he's a bit more measured than that. So fair enough. He's still, as you said, 10 days is not enough time to deal with that. So he spends a lot of the season figuring out where he's at with that. How about you, Harry?
Yeah, no, I mean, in season 1, obviously, apart from the last episode, we don't even see Jace in grief kind of thing. I think he's fighting a completely different battle with trying to, show his loyalty, and he's trying to prove to people that he can be king, with obviously that he is a bastard and everything. I think that's a battle in itself, really. And the fact that he is the older brother, the other brothers look up to him, so he can't back down because he has to put on a front in front of his brothers. So that's a battle because he's kind of fighting his thoughts in his head, and there isn't really scenes where he actually gets to speak to Rhaenyra about that in season 1. They don't really connect like mother and son. It's quite professionally done. But yeah, obviously he lost his brother in at the end of season 1, and he will find out at some point. So yeah, he's gonna go through grief, but he's got so many little battles that isn't as bad as grief, but they are very much important as well.
That's absolutely great insight from y'all. And I believe we have time for one more question. So keeping on the theme of your 2 specific characters, I've always heard that actors develop additional backstory and personality traits for their characters in their head more than what translates to audiences on the final screen or in the final product. So what's one thing, or even multiple things, that you could tell me about Lord Corlys and Jacaerys that are very important to you as the performers, but the average viewer may not necessarily know? If someone said, hey, what do you know about Lord Corlys or Jacaerys? Something that they wouldn't necessarily think to say, but that is very important to the 2 of you.
Oh, I think for me, Lord Corlys, and it comes out a little bit more in season 2, I think he has a playful nature with his wife. It's not seen in the realm, it's not seen in the small council or anything like that. But there are moments, in fact, there's at least 2 scenes I can think of in season 2 where you get a hint of what they might have been like when they first met, when they were like 18 or 19 or whatever age they were. So yeah, that's one thing I like, and that was something that I added and they built upon. This idea that they are still almost like they're still in love. I mean, we often said that they're one of the few healthy relationships in the realm, and yeah, so that's the thing that I like about Corlys.
I mean, this is more on a personal level for me, but when shooting season 2 especially, I bought a journal and it's got like dragons on the front. And when getting the script for season 2, I went through every scene and sort of made up scenes of my own and writ in POVs of what Jace would think, what he would see. So when I went into filming, I would have a completely better understanding. So I had this thing, I call it the Jace journal. So that's like at home. But yeah, no, just things like that help me really get into character. And I feel like that is something that Jace would have, like a journal he'd go back to and write to every day. But yeah, that's what I would say.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just very insightful answers from y'all. This has been a delight. Unfortunately, I think that's all the time we have, but I wanted to, again, thank you both so much for taking the time to chat. You'll be able to find this interview up on agentsoffandom.com as well as the Agents of Fandom YouTube page. Everyone be sure to stream House of the Dragon Season 2 on Max in the United States, Crave in Canada, starting Sunday, June 16th. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.